Now we're live on social media. Way to go. There we go. Everybody that's joining us, my name again is Wendy Lovejoy. I have been in real estate since the late 80s, early 90s. And my goal is always to help others to understand that real estate investing is not as hard as people make it. But the first thing I want you to do is to understand that as a real estate home-based business, thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate that, Kevin. But everybody, for you to really decide that you want to be a real estate investor, a real estate agent, or a broker. Hey, Lisa. Mwah. Hi, sweetie. You have to understand that you are starting a business. This is your business. So most people, when you get into real estate, some people are not looking to understand that, you can do this as a home-based business. You do not need to invest in a big office and all of that. You can, though. It will help with some of your meetings. But when you first start your business, consider starting it as a home-based business. The one thing I like about being a real estate investor is that you can invest anywhere in the world. You're not limited like when you have a real estate license only to the state that you live in. But the great thing about having your real estate license is you can refer deals to people in other states and get a referral fee. So there's benefits to both. The thing that is major is that you have to understand that you are starting a business. Whether you are a real estate agent or an investor, you are starting a business. And so when you're starting a business, you've got to change your mindset and see yourself as a business owner. The buck stops with you. And so one of the things that I ask people to do, which helped me quite a bit, is when I got started in real estate, to sit down and really define your why. If it was only because you wanted to make money, you would not make, you would have made more money. But there's something in your gut, in your spirit, that you may not be really tapping into. So you want to look at the things that would change if money was not your issue. Maybe you'd improve your credit scores. Maybe you take a family vacation. Maybe you would upgrade your house. Maybe you would do something for your mom and dad or for the ministry that you are connected to. Maybe you have a desire to help the homeless. You've got to think like that. For me, when I got started in real estate, I had two simple desires. One, my kids were in Pampers, but I wanted to put them in a private school. And I wanted to have a live-in housekeeper. And I wanted to give my mom a house of her own and her first car that I personally purchased. That was my motivation. I didn't think, even though I had no money at that time. If you've read my book, Money Answers All, you know in that book I was penniless. I had no money. And I told my mom to let me rent a room from her. She was willing to let me stay in the room. I said, no, I need to rent it from you. Me and my 3 babies, we will give you $25 a week, $100 a month. I didn't even have that, but I committed to giving that to my mom. And so I didn't limit myself to keep focusing on the $100 I didn't have. I looked at the bigger picture, which is, even though my kids were in Pampers, my desire was to put them in private school. So I started looking for the best neighborhoods where they could see children that look like them, parents that look like their parents, and had a school in the area that I had to pay for. So we found Cambria Heights, Queens, and there was a school called Sacred Heart. So I got all the information, and that was my why. In the meanwhile, I had my mom and my younger sister searching for houses, because I had a goal that I was going to be able to give her the down payment and the closing costs and move her from the South Bronx to her first 4-family house in uh, um, Newark, New Jersey, which is the neighborhood she wanted. I wanted Cambridge Heights, she wanted Newark, New Jersey. So if I had just kept thinking about the $100 I didn't have, it would not have allowed me to make the decision to go in when I found my first mentor in real estate investing, Robert Allen. His first seminar was cost me about $7,000. I had to leave South Bronx, where I was renting a room, to go all the way to San Diego, and I had to have a different shift. So it took a lot of work for me to just save up the money that I needed to get to go to this conference. But I was determined. If you focus on the lack, it will not make you move. You got to focus on your why. And if you look behind me, we have a yellow letter mentoring workbook. Even in the workbook, we put your why. Why do you have to have this money? It's not the money, but what is the money going to do for you? And the more you give your heart, yourself, the feeling, the emotion that gets attached to why you need or want this money. Like, I literally went to Cambridge Heights. I drove around the neighborhood. I started hanging around the neighborhood. I could smell it. I could see it. I could feel it. I could have the experiences of what this neighborhood was going to offer me and my children. Sometimes I would leave them at home and just take the train from the South Bronx to Queens just to get a feel of this. I was raised in Brooklyn, and now my mom lived in the South Bronx, and then I end up going to wanting to live in Queens. I was born, and part of my raising was in South Africa, so a lot of mind shifts have to happen. And you might say, well, this is about finding sellers. Why are we talking so much about that? Because if you don't have a good why, when you find your first seller that is wanting to do stuff that don't line up with what you need to get them to do so that you can sell their property, you'll accept it, or you will get turned off the very first time a seller says something that's going to make you think that you're not that great at what you're doing. So your why will give you the commitment to keep going. I knew nothing about real estate. So when my broker said, spend your time cold calling, pick up the Coles directory, that's how far back I started in real estate. We had a book this big in the office that had every phone number and everybody's address, and it was updated every year. And my broker would invest in this book every single year, more than one copy, so that his agents would be able to cold call from there. So you pick up the book, you pick a street. I remember I started on Linden Boulevard, and I just kept calling everybody. Hi, my name is Wendy. I'm calling to see if you or anybody. At that time, I was Wendy Williams. I was, a Williams back then. So I would say that, hi, this is Wendy Williams. I'm calling to see if you or anybody you know. Wendy Williams wasn't that famous then. And so nobody said, are you Wendy Williams? They would just say, answer me, or they'd hang up on me. But when they'd hang up on me, I kept going because I kept envisioning my kids in this better neighborhood. I kept envisioning my mom just feeling really good in her own place and getting her out of the South Bronx. So I would keep calling. But the thing that happened for me is I mastered the scripts. And so I can't tell you how important for real estate related industry or home owner, business owners, it is important to really master real estate scripts and dialogue. So again, your why. Your why is very, very important. Number two, there's so much free information out there. But I always say, if you put out free, you're going to get free back. If you don't invest in your own business, you cannot expect to get really good clients, really good deals. You've got to be of constantly looking for free stuff or free ways to connect with people is not going to help you. You got to be willing to look at your own budget and say, out of this budget, this is what I'm going to put aside to invest in me. You're not investing in other people. The money I spent with Robert Allen so many years ago. Oh, thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate that. So the money that I spent with Robert Allen, I first bought his book. His book was No Money Down. He had been advertising it on news shows. So I bought the book. I read the book more than one time. At the back of the book, he had information of how I could connect with him and learn from him. And I called that office that was in the back of the book, and he said he had an upcoming conference, so I began to save money so I could get to the conference. And so you got to find a mentor. There's a lot of free information, and a lot of the people giving you free information are people that have not accomplished what you're trying to accomplish in real estate. Very, very important that you understand that. Not everybody that's teaching real estate investing even owns a property. Some people are teaching you how to wholesale and they've never wholesaled. They're trying, they're learning, they're putting pieces together. Or some people have been very famous because they do a reality TV show, and now they're selling you so that they can get, they make money from training packages. I do real estate. I do real estate every single day. I don't like to work anymore on Sundays. It's been a long time since, even when I had my offices in New York on the South Conduit and in Baldwin, I would close my offices on Sundays so my teams can have time with their family. And then I personally would take Tuesdays off so I could go do my hair, my nails, and run around for my kids. But on Saturdays, I would go into the office very early, and then I had the rest of the afternoon. I'd go in the office and train my agents. At one time, I had about 60 agents in one office, so I would train them how to cold call from 10 to 12. I would be there to help them with the phone, because once you master scripts and dialogues, then everything is going to change for you. Very, very important that you understand that. And so don't sleep on this information that I'm giving you. Hey, Marcus, don't sleep on this information. Really try to find something that sticks out for you and work with that. But start with your why. Then you want to find a mentor. You can find a mentor that maybe you're going to invest in a book. Some mentors do meetups. Invest in going to the meetup. I can't tell you, I have more than one meetup. Hey, Sharon. And one of our meetups, we have about 400 people. And sometimes we put out an event that's going to benefit them, and they will say something like, oh, I really want to come, but I can't make it. And I say to myself, okay, maybe you can't make that date. But if you don't commit to making some dates, like how will you really, thanks for the love and the thumbs up. You know how much I like those, because it encourages other people to connect and to join the information, because information is key. But applied information with somebody holding your hand, that takes you to a whole nother level. And so again, you got to invest in yourself. Invest the time that it takes to learn this stuff. I did not learn real estate overnight. I had a strong why. So I researched, and we didn't have internet back then. So I went to different real estate offices, because now I wanted to be an agent. So I went to different real estate offices and I interviewed the real estate brokers there, and I asked them, who helped you to get to where you are? How did you become a successful broker? And a lot of people told me Chuck McGill. And so I said, let me find him. And I found him. He had, at the time, 5 offices. And he had, the one that I started at was in the Queens Village area. He had an office on Hillside and an office on Jamaica. Can you imagine that close together? So I said, well, which office is he in, most of the time? He also had offices in the Woodside area. He had offices that were in Brooklyn as well. I asked his wife, who had interviewed me, which office does he mainly work in? Because I want him to train me personally. And so she told me he's at the office at 15923 Hillside at Jamaica Avenue. So I said, okay, Hillside Avenue, I'm sorry. I said, so that's where I want to go. And so I interviewed with him. And it's so funny, I've spoken about this. I was so nervous my first day that when I looked down at my feet, I took the train from, hey Breland, I took the train from Bronx, New York to Queens. I had on my blue suit. I had invested money in a really nice blue suit, had it tailored to fit me perfectly. Went and got myself some really nice Europa pumps, really nice. And I loved that company so much that I bought like 10 different colors. And they had 2 different shades of blue. When I looked at my feet and when I was at the office, I looked down and I had on 2 different shoes. That's how nervous I was my first day in real estate. I was so afraid, but what motivated me to keep going was that strong why and what I wanted to see for my children. You're never going to be motivated by just the things you want for yourself. I promise you that. You will be more motivated if you have something that's in your gut. If you are a person that loves designer bags and you know that's your passion, go and smell the designer bag, hold the designer bag, get that scent in your spirit really strong. That'll motivate you because your spirit works differently when you have, a smell, a touch, and you can have a vision of what you will do once you get to a certain level. So again, it's not going to happen for you without a mentor. But you don't have to start with the mentor's highest package. Start with something. Invest in a book. Invest in like their least expensive program. I wanted to go all in. So when I heard about Robert Allen, who is the creator of No Money Down, nobody had even heard about this process when they first started. In Georgia, the #1 RIA, Real Estate Investing Association, used to be the Rand Group, which was started after Robert Allen. It used to be the Robert Allen No Money Down, the Rand Group, and then it became the RIAs as you know them now. He started all of this. So to have the opportunity to have this man train me, I wanted to sit face to face with him. And I promise you, the day I met him in person, I was nervous, I was scared to death, but by the end of the week, I was a superstar in the group because I did everything he told me to do. Same thing with my mentor, Chuck McGill. I went to his office, took the real estate class, had him hold my license, and every Monday he had a training in the office. I was there for the training every single Monday. And I couldn't understand. He had about 2,000 agents. In our office alone, there had to be like 75 names I would see on the board. But there was this one little guy, an African guy, I'll never forget him. His name was Abraham Nye, N-Y-E-E-I. And this was again in Jamaica, Queens Village. And I noticed that this guy had 2 lines on the board. He literally would sell his own listings, and he did no less than 25 transactions a month. Not, a year, a month. So I began to watch him, and I noticed that when he'd come into the office, he'd say hi to everybody. He always had on a suit, never hemmed his pants. Pants were just dragging all over the floor. But from I would say the ankles up, he looked very professional. And so he'd come into the office with the newspaper, go straight to the for sale by owners, and I would listen to him calling. So I asked the broker, I said, can you make him my mentor? Because Chuck would partner you up with people. Well, Abraham, I thought, well, he's African, I'm African, he's going to help me. Didn't want to help me. He made it so hard for me. He wouldn't tell me anything. He'd just have me listen to him. And I remember my first listing I got, he literally called the people and told them I was new at real estate and that they should work with him. and they ended up working with me, and I ended up listing this house and selling it to myself. That was my first deal, and it was a house that turned out to be a property 2 doors down from where 50 Cent grew up. So my kids ended up knowing him because I ended up buying the house in Cambridge Heights. We had a fire there, and so I owned that property, and I was renting it out in Springfield Gardens. And so now I've got my license. I used my license to cold call, got some houses, got this lady that listed the property with me. And then when she gave me the listing, I ended up taking the listing and then selling it to myself. And, you know, when we had the fire, I ended up renting the house to myself because it was vacant at the time. So that's one of the things that benefits you about being a real estate agent. Now, how do you find motivated sellers? If you missed the training we did last week, give me 1 second. I think I'm hearing I just need to get something. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, I am back. I hope none of you guys decided to leave me, but I'm back. And so again, that is what happened with my first deal. So how do you find motivated sellers? That's what you probably connected with me for today. The first thing you want to do is define and know what is a motivated seller. I mentioned in the first 2 videos what a seller is and the difference between a regular seller and a motivated seller. A motivated seller is somebody that has to sell because something in their life is going on. You can't motivate them to sell. They have to sell because something is going on. Either a foreclosure, it could be a, you know, a death in the family. It could be tenants they no longer want to deal with. It could be the house caught on fire and now they don't, you know, want to do the repair. Something besides you is motivating them to have to sell. Those are motivated sellers. Very, very important that you understand that. Now, the thing with the motivated seller is that you've got to set up systems where you're attracting them to call you. One of the things that I encourage you to download off the Yellow Letter Mentoring Facebook page is this sheet here. It's called the Yellow Letter Mentoring quadrant, marketing quadrant. The thing with the marketing quadrant is that it shows you how to do free marketing, like how to go online and what to do online to be able to get yourself people calling you that need to sell. The other thing is networking events. Like when you go to these real estate events, are you just going to hang out? Are you going there and sitting still and not speaking to anybody? You have to be willing to have your commercial, your 30-second commercial, be able to, you know, tell people who you are and then give them a card and you know, get some information from them. We discuss all of that in my networking videos. So quick cash, if you're looking for deals real fast, you want to go driving for dollars, you want to go door knocking. My agents, I used to take them when I first got my office in Springfield Gardens. I wanted to really control that area. And so every day, well, I'd say 3 times a week, I would take my agents and we would go door knocking. On those days, they had to dress professionally, and we always had some information that we were giving out to the neighborhood. But it was to just let them know, hey, we're in the neighborhood. If you have any real estate questions, our office is right there on Springfield Boulevard in the Conduit. Feel free to just, come on by and we'll be happy to help you. So be willing to knock on doors and give information. Hey, I'm the neighborhood real estate investor. I keep in touch with what's going on with real estate. If you ever have real estate questions, please take my card. Don't always just knock on somebody's door and be like, I want a listing. I want to, I want to buy your house. Say to them, I'm the real estate expert of the area. I'm the real estate investor of the area. I'm the real estate agent of the area. And I just wanted you to know I'm available if you ever have real estate questions. You may not need this now, but hold on to it. You never know when I can answer any real estate questions. How many people think that's good dialogue? I want to see if you're really paying attention to this. But you also want to learn how to pique people's interest when you go out, when you're out in the neighborhood. How do you pique people's interest? When you go, let's say, to the supermarket, are you saying, starting up conversations with total strangers? Very, very important that you do that. Are you starting conversations with total strangers? Like you can say, you know what, I have a house that I'm looking to sell in the area. Do you know anybody who's looking to buy? Or you can meet somebody online. Oh my God, you buy as much oranges as I do. And then you say something to them like, I'm literally trying to sell a house in this area. Do you know anybody you would like to make a neighbor? How simple is that? So again, that is just simple dialogue. But when you put this information out and you start getting people to call you back, we went over a lot of the script last week. So again, if you missed last week's training, I'm going to encourage you to go back and watch those videos. One of the main things you want to find out after you find out the person's name, the property address, the amount of bedrooms, bathrooms, all that knowledge, you want to ask all of that, but you always want to find out, do they have a mortgage or is the house free and clear? That's very, very important. Do they have a mortgage or is the house free and clear? Then you also want to ask them, why are you moving now? Or if the house is vacant, why are you selling it now? What is pushing you to sell now? Why didn't you sell it last month? Why aren't you selling it next month? What's happening now in this moment that had you respond to my postcards, my yellow letter, whatever you are looking to do to get people to call you for real estate? You always want to find that out. That's very, very important because it's going to eliminate the people that are not motivated, and it's going to show you who is motivated to sell very fast. When you speak to people, you also want to find out if they say, I have a mortgage, ask them, do you have more than one mortgage? If they say the property's free and clear, sometimes people say to me, well, I've had people say to me, I don't want to tell you that. You have to let them know, listen, we're on the same side here. I'm trying to, really give you the best offer possible. And I can only do that if I have all the information. Right now, I'm just collecting information. And some of the information is public records. I could look it up, but it would be so much easier if you just, told me. And so that when you say something like that, they usually feel more comfortable in sharing the information with you. Okay, so don't let people stop you from moving forward in the questions that you have to ask. If anything, you always want to say something like, I am just collecting information right now. I'm just collecting information right now. And then you will find that people are willing to share or give you the answer that you are looking for. Another question that you want to get in the habit of adding to your dialogue. I'm not going to go over all the dialogue we went over last week. Again, I encourage you to watch video 1 and 2 of the finding and working with motivated sellers. But another question you want to get in the habit of asking is,